Hi, and welcome to my channel, Mark D. Heilong. My name is Mark Donaldson. My Chinese name is Heilong. This is part two of why I became a vegan, and it's basically focuses on what is food. So let's get started. Let's see here. All right. So part two, what is food? So just a quick recap of part one. So I discussed why I became a vegan, began fasting with Dr. Joel Furman's book, Fasting and Eating for Health. So I discussed the outcomes of fasting after my 3 to 4 days, and Dr. Joel Furman's health equation. Health is equal to nutrients divided by amount of calories. Also discussed the definition of food, which is any nourishing substance that is eaten, drunk, or otherwise taken in the body to sustain life, provide energy, and promote healthy growth. Discuss chronic diseases and illnesses that may occur from bad food or lack of good food. Medicines and their toxicity to treating symptoms but not curing disease. You are what you eat, and we become what we eat over time. I also discuss reversing disease and illnesses through good nutrition and healthy eating, defensive eating, and all the list of negative effects of eating foods that are deficient in nutrients. So I put together some quizzes here. Let's see if I remember the answers. So true or false? We need milk to get enough calcium to protect us against osteoporosis. This is, of course, false. Consumption of animal products, especially dairy products, is extremely acidic to the body, which causes your pH balance to change, and it causes to become acidic. Therefore, it pulls a lot of the minerals, including calcium, from your bones to make your body pH neutral, thus causing brittle bones that leads to fractures and especially breaks. A diet high in protein is healthy. Well, depends on what kind of protein you're eating. But too much of a good thing is bad for you. So this is also false. You don't need as much protein as you realize, and you need even less protein on a plant-based diet. So the China Cornell Oxford Project, aka the China Project or the China Study. So this is one of the most comprehensive studies on the connection between diet and disease in medical history. The controversy continues till this day over the study and its results and how it was conducted. So China was the ideal test bed because people in one area ate a certain diet and the people just a few hundred miles away ate a completely different diet. So subjects were born, lived, and died in the villages they lived in. Many good isolation between villages to identify trends and differences between different villagers, their health based on their dietary consumption. So, what was the outcome of this study? So, data from the research showed huge differences in disease rates based on the amount of plant-based foods eaten and the availability of animal products. So the study found that as the amount of animal foods increased in consumption in the diet, even in relatively small increments, so did the emergence of the cancers that are common in the West. As animal food consumption approached zero, cancer rates also fell towards the same mark. So here's another trivia question. The best source of protein is animal foods such as meat, chicken, eggs, fish, and dairy. This is actually false. All animal-based products and especially proteins do boost your or increase your IGF-1 levels, which has been linked to causing cancerous growth and tumors. Fish, I would say, is probably the most healthy because you get the healthy omega-3 fatty acids from fish, but you also get the negative side, which are a lot of toxins, oceanic toxins like mercury and lead and so on. True or false? Plant foods do not have a complete protein. Oh, that is false. Plant-based foods do have a complete protein or amino acid profile. Not all of them do, but many plant-based proteins do have a complete amino acid profile. So, what were the outcomes of the study? Continued. So, areas with extremely low consumption of animal foods are virtually free of heart attacks and cancer. Incredible. Association was found between animal protein intake of low levels and heart attacks, with a strong protective effect from the consumption of green vegetables. So there you have it. People who ate animal-based protein with relatively low levels um, uh, and association was found between animal protein intake and heart attacks, or low level of animal protein intakes and heart attacks, but with a strong protective effect from the consumption of green vegetables. So if you eat meat and consume dark leafy green vegetables, you'll have some protection from heart disease. I guess because primarily you're getting much of your dietary fiber intake that helps you with increased motility. So mind-blowing data results from that were gathered by the China Project. So many vegans have read the China Project and use it to propel themselves towards eating healthier. The research study numbers don't lie. It's based on evidence. And the most comprehensive large study ever, it was the most comprehensive large study ever undertaken to reveal the relationship between diet and the risk of developing disease. So, what are carbohydrates and sources of carbohydrates? This is from Dr. Joel Furman. So, primates, humans, are the only animals that can sense sweet tastes. Fruit is an essential part of the human diet. Primates or humans have such a large area of our tongue dedicated to taste sweets, aka the term sweet tooth or sweet tongue. So the increase in sugar consumption, refined sugar consumption, that is, increases in shows an increase in malnourishment. So, like a lot of the refined corn sugars that go into pop and soda pop, for example. So in the West, we average 22 teaspoons of added sugar each and every day. Teens average approximately 34 teaspoons of added sugar each day in the West. So, true or false question. To get adequate protein from a plant-based diet, you should combine certain foods to make sure you receive a complete complement of the necessary amino acids at each meal. That is true, yes. So, continuing on, too much sugar consumption can lead to diabetes. This is too much refined sugar consumption. So, Statistics Canada records diabetes numbers, which are given below. I won't show them here, but so in the United States, millions of people have both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Hundreds of thousands don't know they have precursory symptoms that lead to diabetes. So, what is the definition of carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are any of a group of organic compounds that include sugars, starches, celluloses, and gums, and serves as a major energy source in the diet of animals. These compounds are produced by photosynthetic plants and contain only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, usually in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. So CmH2O, N is the general formula for carbohydrates. So what are good carbohydrate sources? Whole grains, vegetables, fruits and beans, and fiber, which is the exception. And that's it. Whole grains, vegetables, fruits and beans, and fiber, which is an exception. So anything coming from the list above are deemed good carbohydrates. Bad carbohydrate sources. White bread, white rice, potatoes, baked goods, pastries, pop or soda, sugary cereals, and juices. Now, why did I throw potatoes in there? Because a high concentration of starches, or which is a complex carbohydrate, especially mashed potatoes, can really push up your insulin levels. So it has what they call a high glycemic load, especially with refined bread, white rice, especially in certain baked goods, processed foods. Now, true or false? We can protect ourselves against cancer by switching to low-fat animal foods such as chicken, fish, and skim milk, and by omitting red meat. Well, that's also false. So animal products of all kinds have been shown to increase IGF-1 levels, which is an indicator of um, cancerous growth. So bad carbohydrate sources, these will be punished. Corn syrup. table syrup, milk, especially chocolate milk, with a lot of refined sugar to make it sweet. Any processed or manufactured meal packaged and ready in 5 minutes or less. Margarine is also saturated fat. Cooking oil is also saturated fat, and a whole lot more. So these are basically foods that have made up of carbon hydrogen change. So hydrogenation is the method of refining certain types of fats to make them stable at room temperature. So what happens next? So carbohydrates get broken down into single sugar molecules small enough to enter the bloodstream. Most digestible and easily converted carbohydrates get converted into glucose, aka blood sugar. Think of how children react to adult portions of consumed processed sugar. Let the mayhem begin, especially before bedtime. So you can see children usually pick fights after breakfast when they eat their Cocoa Puffs with all the sugar in it because they just get really wired from the sugar rush into the bloodstream. So you usually see kids will pick fights after breakfast, sometimes after lunch, and maybe sometimes after they get home. So why glucose? Every living cell in your body lives off glucose. Without glucose, you'd run out of energy and cease to function, literally cease to function. Your brain is greedy for glucose and gets first dibs on your blood sugar. So if you're feeling a little foggy in the head, have an orange or an apple to perk yourself up. Glucose is to your body what gasoline is to your car engine. It's not going to run without it. And from what I recall, your brain takes up about 70% of the glucose that you consume to function. So what's fiber got to do with glucose? So you have insoluble fiber, which is fiber that cannot dissolve in water, and you have soluble fiber, fiber which dissolves in water. Fiber is your broom and mop for your digestive system. Fiber facilitates increased absorption of glucose and many nutrients you eat. Fiber also removes bad cholesterol from your body by binding to it and sweeping or mopping it away. So you can eat all bran, it's high in fiber. Fiber keeps food moving through your digestive system and promotes motility, which is the movement of food through your digestive tract. So what's the effect of carbohydrates on blood sugar levels? Fruit sugars, which is fructose, have little effect on your blood sugar because it's a simple sugar in its simplest form, coming from whole foods. Fruit sugars are known to the body and quickly and easily convert to glucose, which is usable energy for your cells. Complex carbohydrates are converted to blood sugar just as quickly as simple sugars. Complex carbohydrates can have an adverse effect on your blood sugar from their surge of glucose into the bloodstream. Monosaccharides, which is glucose, and disaccharides, which is sucrose or sugar, acetals, ketols, polysaccharides. So we'll cover the acid alkaline balance in part 3 next week. In the next episode, here are the references for you to review. Some of these are a little bit old, and some of the website references. Well, thank you very much for watching part 2. If you like the video, please give it a like or a thumbs up, and please do subscribe and smash that notification bell. And if you think it was very valuable, please take a moment to share it with others. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.